My name is Chris Claremont. You're watching Omni X-Men.
And we're on with another phenomenal issue from Chris Claremont, working our way through the Chris Claremont era of Uncanny X-Men. We're on Omnibus 4. Yeah, it's happening. It's all happening. And we are issue 1-8. Oh my God, I messed it. 6 tonight. My numbers are way off. But that means I got this guy backstage. What is going on?
Yes, you're right. Volume 4, and I was like, yeah, 186. 6 sounds fair. Yeah.
I know I'm even
all
your
blurs
odd
together.
this season, so I was like,
How's that house? Is that your system?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm doing good, man. Finally, another back at it with another Tuesday here, talking some X-Men. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and a very pivotal, unusual issue tonight with an artist who we're not super familiar with if you haven't read some of his other stuff from this this era of Marvel.
Right. That's
so
right. Brand new.
Excited. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited to hear some of your takes on this. But we got one of the big Marvel fans in the comic community here to join us. We got Darrell from Read Your Comics.
Yeah.
There's my sticker.
Mine is on a folio, a store folio right over there. How you doing, Darrell?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about Life Death.
Yes, yeah. And for those that don't know Darrell, his Instagram, his YouTube, it's all linked down below. Darrell is somebody that we love hanging out with. He's on every season with us. He does Black Hammer with us over on JP's channel. This is a big reading fan, and I've been noticing a lot of classic X-Men goodness rolling through your Instagram these days. How's that been going?
It's been a lot of fun. I've been reading the kind of what you guys were doing, starting from the beginning of the all new X-Men team with my kids. So, and this is like third time I think for me reading through this run of books, but really the first time in that classics series. So you get extra pages in there, not just the bonus stories at the end, the vignettes, but also there's like, I didn't realize a lot of those stories were only 17 pages. So there's like 3 extra random pages. You'll get like a random Apocalypse appearance.
Right.
It was like, in like an early issue. And they're like, and it's funny with my kids, they'll be like, they'll even notice because the art will kind of change, and they'll make this is a new page. Skip this,
right? And they can retcon some things too and iron out some of the rough edges a little bit. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, I just like all the different artwork, like the cover artwork, like the different takes that they kind of, somewhat copy or homage. There's a lot that I still haven't seen yet that I look forward to. So
I want to go back and get the omnibus that they dropped, so that I can get all that stuff in there.
Yeah, Darrell, do you own them all, or are you reading some of them digitally, or how are you going through?
No, I've got a complete run of up to like 55 or so of classic X-Men. So it'll get us all the way through the Byrne era, which oddly enough, Days of Future Past is not reprinted in that series. Believe it or not.
Oh wow!
They start skipping around a little bit, don't they? After Byrne is done.
Well, they skip the fill-in issues, like the first baseball issue is skipped, and one of the other like it was like a fill-in issue, like in a weird spot, and both of those got skipped, but everything else seems to be going pretty much in order so far. We'll see what happens after Byrne.
Awesome.
So my goal is with them is to get through the Byrne run, and then I'll kind of see where I go from there.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Let's say hello to some friends we got in the chat. We had Candace tailgating early. What is going on, girl? Hope your day is going well. Got my man Adam make stuff up. What's going on, Adam? Neighbor to the north. Hope you're doing well,
Adam.
We got Jackson Roy Kirk. I was in the chat over on Gary B's channel tonight talking with Jackson.
Nice.
JP, we're going to try to keep ourselves on time for this guy because this whole panel is rocking over to JP's channel when we are done here to talk then Black Hammer. So that's complete. Let's see. We got Beckerman. What is going on? Beckerman, good to see you, sir. There is definitely some of that. There's definitely some of that. That's a fair estimate. We got Stu. What is going on? Dr. Doom's fan club. He's going live in about 30 minutes. I'm going to catch the rewind because it's hard to catch his Tuesday night shows, but I always catch the replays.
Nice.
Adam saying the artwork in this issue is very much a left turn. Was not a fan the first time reading this one, and I'm very curious how that played for our friend here. Paul, what's up, Big O? Good to see you, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
Hope things are going well. Let's see here. Let's see. Great choice, Darrell and John. Always think of you with Forge when he says, "My God, she's beautiful."
I thought about putting that in my stories the other day and like putting your name above Forge, but I didn't.
I mean, somebody just put my face right on there. It's fine. Signature King. Happy Tuesday to you, sir.
What's up, dude?
We got Old Wolf. What's going on, Thony? We got JD the Rage and Cajun in the chat. What's going on, JD?
JD.
Vintage Marvel, how's it going? You did make it. You're here.
Hey,
in,
Connor. Nice.
I told Justin and John, but I just got the classic X-Men issue with Celine.
Yes, that's right.
Just reviewed. Yep.
And that had a cool cover too. Yeah,
it did.
Yep.
No chance. It is a double issue, JP. Just give us a little patience. Double issue. John must play the part when this is made into an MCU one-shot TV show. Let's just keep that in mind. As a reminder, each one of our shows jumps back and forth between my channel and Justin's channel, and his links are down below as well. So you want to subscribe across the board so that you are there each week when we break down the next issue in the Omnibus. We also do trivia at the end of every night, so stick around to the end. We're going to ask questions about last week's episode and last week's book. You don't have to be correct. You can just be funny in the chat, make Darrell laugh, and you can get on the giveaway roster. The list is growing strong, and usually somewhere in June, we'll do our big Bonanza giveaway, and you want to make sure you're at least in the raffle when we spin that wheel. So Darrell, we've been launching in the new season with a little X-Men lightning round, this or that, yes or no kind of questions. And I gotta ask, classic X-Men or the original issues? Where are you at?
Ooh, the original, just because you also get those original ads and the time period that goes along with it.
Point.
And reading the classics too, I'm gonna say the print quality is kind of hard on these old eyes right here. I look a little silly shining like a bright light on it so I can see better sometimes.
I just see him with his phone, the light on, like you're at a menu at a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly how it is.
Okay, is there yes or no? Is there an X-Men who could single-handedly defeat Hulk?
No.
I mean, I doubt it, right? I mean, ultimately, is there anybody?
Well, I mean, I guess
person,
Phoenix, like a full-powered Phoenix, but
okay.
Other than that, no.
Not really fair, but yeah, I get that. Okay. Okay. Is Rogue stronger than Colossus?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Right? Get that arm wrestle championship. Get that slap, that Russian slap competition.
Love those.
just pure strength. I'm gonna say no. I think Colossus should be stronger than Rogue, but on just pure strength.
Right. All right. For tonight's episode, is Forge a better match for Storm than T'Challa?
Yes.
Ooh,
and
right.
You want me to elaborate on why?
I mean, I like both. I think they're both interesting matches for her. I think they're both interesting characters for her. But as somebody I know who's probably read a little bit of every of it, I was just curious how you felt.
I guess for me, it's mostly Forge because of the older connection there. So it's like,
right. He was first.
It goes back further. And then I don't mind the Storm T'Challa relationship, but part of me always felt like, they're taking the two African characters and like kind of forcing them together,
Right.
It felt a little like too on the nose,
Yeah. And it was an editorial decision.
Yeah, exactly. But like Forge, and especially like as we'll get into this issue and the complexity behind their relationship, to me, it just makes for a better
history
storyline.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
All right. Would you prefer to live at the X Mansion or in the Baxter Building?
Oh, that's a good one too. Probably the X Mansion, just because I'm not a big city person, so it'd be nice to be, out there in Westchester.
Plus, more hot ladies and pool parties. I mean,
that's true.
Definitely. There's not a lot of options. I'm going to keep pushing this button in the Baxter building. No,
there's only one. There's only one, and she's married.
She's taken. Yeah, she's taken. No shots against Sue Storm, but she's taken. Is John Byrne the best X-Men artist?
Yes. But man, there's a lot there to compete.
So many choices, right? But
yeah.
He's definitely top tier.
Barry Windsor-Smith would be up there if he did more.
That's a great point. All right. Is it a good idea to have a danger room at a school?
No. That is a terrible idea.
I mean, the title alone kind of lets you know. They've called it the danger room.
Yes.
Something to think about.
There's a little bit of liability waivers must have been signed for those orphans that Xavier was taken in.
Right. Let's see. Is mankind the greatest enemy of the X-Men?
Yes. Yeah. It's the one that's always present. It's present.
Right. And always taking new form in some ways too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Would you date a telepath?
I remember this question on another show you asked, and I thought about that one pretty hard in the moment. I think I would if I knew going in and I was really that in sync with them, I wouldn't worry about it. I feel like I'm a pretty
don't want to be caught off guard. Like, oh wait, you're a telepath?
Are we talking like
2
Jean
years
Grey or Emma? Like which telepath are we talking about here?
Right.
One I might trust more than the other.
That's fair. I think most of us, right? All right, I got a couple more here for you. So is Dr. Doom a villain?
Yes, he is an awesome one, but yes.
I mean, it's kind of in the name.
Yeah.
He's not Dr. Sunshine.
Yeah. I mean, he's an authoritarian, so
Right. All right, last one. Does Gambit have a side piece?
Probably so, I would say. How can you not live the life, mon ami, without having something like that?
That's great. I love it. Well, thank you, Darrell. That was fantastic. Great run through the gauntlet there, my man. Nice. And as a reminder, his links are down below. Great content on Instagram and YouTube. You want to be sure you're following this guy and catch him all across YouTube because he's everywhere, including JP's in an hour and a half. So Kenneth Bird, hello. Thank you for joining. I think that was, I missed Kenneth when he came in, or maybe he just came in. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We're going to dive into the story now. We're talking this issue right here. Uncanny X-Men issue 186. This is from October of 84. The story known as Life Death, of which we'll discuss the sequel that comes in the next omnibus, not in this omnibus. But most importantly, this is the Barry Windsor-Smith first time joining the Claremont era. He did a previous issue in the original run of regular X-Men before Claremont, but this is really what people know him for. I'm curious on this cover, Justin. When you look at this, and I'm sure you've seen it many times before reading it, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, I feel like I've kind of brushed this cover aside. I feel like I've kind of glanced over it as I've flipped through time and time again the X-Men section. I don't like hate it or anything. I also just don't love it either. I think it's just different. I think it's probably the best way to put it. Now, as far as like what's in here, I mean, it's certainly accurate to the story itself and kind of this relationship between the two of these characters that we learn about. Just them standing there, one trying, kind of looking like taking care of the other. I like that he's rocking like it looks like Chuck Taylor's kind of a little bit,
right?
A little star going there.
Yep.
Still got the
socks shorts pulled up. He's got the dad bod socks going.
Yeah.
He's gonna go mow some lawns.
Yeah, exactly. I do appreciate like the skyline in the background, like the faded colors. That I think stands out to me most.
Which suits the issue as well with the psychedelic backgrounds we kind of get through this issue, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Darrell, what are your thoughts when you first saw this, or now when you look back at it? What were your feelings?
I don't remember really my opinion on it when I first saw it, but looking at it now, I mean, it's a boring cover. It really, like, for X-Men, and when you think about what this is, 1984 or 83, did we say? This is still stuff aimed at like 13-year-old boys. If I was a 13-year-old boy and never picked up X-Men and knew nothing about Barry Windsor-Smith or anything, this would have been a pass based on the cover. I think it's very well drawn. It's very pretty, but there's no action to it. There's nothing dynamic saying like, ooh, read this issue. But that said, I love the issue. So, and I do, like Justin said, when you do read the book, the cover fits the story that we're about to read. So
yeah,
sure, great points. Marcus, I'm not doing that. We're not going backwards in time, my man. But I do appreciate you, all caps, lovingly caressing the like button, my brother. That's right. Yeah, I agree with you both. As a kid, I saw this cover and I definitely wasn't as interested in it. And it adulthood kicked in when I read this and finally was like, wow, okay, I need this cover. And it does fit the story, but they both seem like they're waiting for something, like a bus. Like, where's the bus? Like,
yeah,
the bus gonna go around soon. I'm kind of tired of walking. This cane and my thing, So there's definitely things happening here that I think are kind of interesting. But yeah, as far as what would draw you in and make you pull this off the shelf, it does not hit the core kid in me purchasing these books.
Yeah.
Is it worth noting that it doesn't say Uncanny on the cover?
Right. It just says double side, special double side. It's kind of like on a special blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the heads in the corners, it's a little different, right? I mean,
yeah, they're more in line with Ramita's era and the way he's got the costuming and the hairstyles going, right?
Yeah, I was going to look back at the other issue.
Sorry, Gore, I didn't say hello to you. He says, when I saw this cover, I knew it was Barry, and I couldn't believe it after being disappointed by Ramita Jr.'s artwork, which I better appreciate today. So there you go. Well, then let's roll into this issue and see what we got. We got Sleepy Storm. She's laying in bed after last week when we saw her get blasted by this ray gun. It's kind of an odd thing to see her there kind of lounging. You see Forge coming in with some tea. He's trying to cheer her up. He's trying to get her to get out of bed. She seems either a little drugged or just absolutely lethargic in some manner. He can't seem to convince her to get out of bed. And so he's sort of struggling just to motivate her to do anything. Very clearly, the effects of the gun that we know was supposed to remove a superhero's powers have somehow put her in this mental state, whether it's psychological, where she's just dealing with it, or whether it's an injury of some kind. So, Justin, when you open this up and it's like Storm's in bed and she doesn't want to get out of bed, like, we're like, what is going on with her?
Yeah. So, well, first, I have to say for the art, as far as the artwork goes, because again, this brand new to me as far as the style and the artist.
Sure. Yeah.
And what everybody's kind of talked about this going, from last week and weeks prior to knowing that this was coming up. Like, I was kind of bracing myself because I wasn't sure, what to expect. With all that said, I feel like these pages are some of my favorite panels from this entire book. The detail that's in it, the one that's like a close up of her face and the arms kind of going across her cheek there, like the third one in, fourth one in. I love the detail of that. Obviously, her laying on the bed like that, like it's so different. And but I love the detail. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, like this seems different than the cover to me,
Totally.
So that was the other thing, because looking at the cover, I guess my expectations was still kind of more of that cover style, and this I think is, obviously just it allows for more detail with the close-ups and things like that, but I do really like it for those reasons. As far as her just being like, we know that what she's just kind of come from. I assume that she was like kind of knocked out, but the way he's like, talking to her and like moving her around. At first, I thought she was just straight sleeping, but like by that last panel on the far side at the bottom, I feel like reveal more of her just not caring, like being awake and depressed. Essentially, is what.
Yeah, ultimately, there's a mental health element here for her, right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Lots of people commenting on the page here. They got Chet in the chat. What's going on, Chet?
What up, Chet?
Loving that first page, that splash page as we go into this, and it ultimately highlights something, Darrell, that I think is kind of interesting about Barry Windsor by comparison to maybe what we got with Romita. There's a lot more line work, a lot more detail work. I mean, even every like fold of that sheet, every strand of her hair, every muscle on his arm, there's a lot more line work, very akin to what we would get later, maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what BWS is known for too, but a lot of times he inks himself. So we have Terry Austin, who I'm sure we all associate with Byrne, stepping in here. And when I posted this book yesterday and somebody brought up like how good it looks with Terry Austin, it just makes me think of how Austin doesn't get in the way of the artist, but he like really just leaves everything nice and clean and crisp, but it's still definitively like you see John Byrne and when you look at it, and you see Barry Windsor-Smith when you look at this, but it's so like just crisp,
Yeah.
But yeah, all the folds, the figure work. I mean, just the way she's laying in the bed, like Justin said, with the position of her arms, and even the one where like Forge is kind of trying to, pull her up, and you kind of like laying like dead weight.
It's a drawing, right? But you can feel the weight of her like refusing to put any effort into him pulling her up. She feels heavy, like it looks like she's like got weight, and he's fighting her energy, right?
Yep,
exactly,
big time.
Yeah.
So Justin, this is your first Barry Windsor-Smith experience?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and right away I can say too that I feel like this issue, or what we got in this issue, I much prefer this to what we've been getting with
Romita Jr.
Yeah, Romita Jr. And again, there's some stuff that I appreciate from Romita from what we've seen before. I like a good amount of it, but this to me seemed, I don't know, just more my speed, I guess, or what I was into more consistently. So
one of the things I think has really been a theme for this omnibus has been the value of an inker and the talent of inkers, because we've seen several different inkers, and each one seems to shape Romita Jr. a different way. And I think that's a great comment, Darrell, because it's highlighting the underrated, overlooked skill and talent of a really good inker. And sometimes even called finishers. I know that Klaus Janson got that title a lot in the Daredevil run he did with Miller. I think sometimes these artists really do draw out the best or potentially worst in the people that are inking. So what is up? Adam says, who is this guy? I mean, Forge wasn't even a Marvel character until 2 months earlier. The two of them never met before. And the feds were cool with Forge just walking off with her. A lot of questions. Chet saying he likes Windsor-Smith more than JR. It seems to be the common thing, but of course, to Darrell's point, like he didn't do that. I mean, he ultimately did a handful of Uncanny issues, and then of course the iconic Wolverine storyline in Marvel Presents. So really not really representative the same way somebody who's doing as many issues as Romita did. It's not necessarily a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue on with the story now. Forge gives up. He's like, I'm done. She's not listening to me. See if I care. And he storms out, and then he gets into his own mind, and he starts thinking about, no, I do care. I've got to figure out a way to get through to her. I can't motivate her for herself. And so he goes down, and as Forge is known to do, he just starts playing with his computers, and he starts looking back at the ways in which he's known Storm, the things he knows about her, playing back with his incredible technology, ultimately his like technology laden building that he's living in. All these graphics and images start playing. These are some of my favorite art pieces, when the walls stop being the sun and sky outside and start being the storm cloud, and the old fashioned storm floats down, and he just looks up and he's like, Lord, she's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm in.
Yep.
Darrell, I mean, this to me, young John reading this was like, yeah, man. Now I am fully committed to being connected to Forge. Like, I was mad at him, but now I'm like, he gets it. I get this guy now.
So the first thing is she's in her classic costume.
Yeah.
Best Storm costume is her classic costume. Yeah. Yes or no?
I mean,
like, I think so. I mean, like,
it's hard to argue against it, but I've
had the most experience.
There are so many great eras. It's hard to pick one.
That's fair.
But for me, it's all.
The 90s white costume is so good.
Yeah, but it's always got to go back to this. But then the way Forge, like the angle of overlooking him, and he's like, I mean, he's looking at like a hologram, I guess, of her, and just the way he's like looking up at her, and the way he's like sitting in the chair. I mean, again, it's just the figure work, you know. It's,
and the color, because he just goes blue, right? The reflected light on him turns him all blue, and even his arms sag. He just is like, oh my god, I shot down an angel from heaven. Like that's the feeling I took from him.
It's like the feeling of guilt and response. Like he didn't pull the trigger, but you know, just it's that he made the weapon. I mean, it's kind of like the Bruce Banner stuff. You know, he made the weapon that created the thing that, you know, caused so much pain for other people. But I mean, like so much emotion just in every single panel almost.
Well, and that's what Candace is saying, because ultimately she like explodes across all three of those panels, right? It really just blasts through the pages, and then looms over him as he's sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Justin, you know, he's SOL at this point, right? I mean, he's the guilt is now elevated to a place of like, I think I might love this lady, and I really screwed up.
Yeah, he's really struggling right off the bat here to try to find this balance of how to help, and also he's like trying to play it all, you know, and we'll see more of this, but like saying the wrong thing or like just kind of getting awkward at times. But you know, he clearly cares and he wants to motivate her, and he's kind of hurt by seeing her in this condition. Right. One thing I'll say about these panels too, that as you guys are even, you know, you're talking about like the just like the room in general, I feel like we get such a good sense of how this room works. I mean, we kind of had an idea last issue, but like even more so of just like the visuals based on the lighting. I feel like the lighting of that really just showed the room and how it can change, and it all like it all moves in as one essentially. Totally. Obviously you get that first big, you know, viewpoint, but then as everything changes, you can I felt like I was there. Like I felt like I could totally understand how the lighting worked and things shifted, and so I thought that this was very helpful for just getting
it drops you into his place, right? So quickly. Yeah. You are Forge. You feel the guilt, you feel the desperation. You see him sitting there just hunched over and just at a loss, like no way out, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Candace, you know, she's saying that I do miss this old costume. Love how her cape interacts. We got Nick from Nick's Kicks and Comics in the chat. What's going on, Nick, my man? I hope you're doing well, brother. JP says the contrast here between cover and interior panels definitely has a huge difference.
Roy Kirk. Well done, my friend. Well done.
He's watching us. He's watching closely.
I was a spit take when I saw
that. So we get a little flashback here. Forge is really stewing in his mistake. He's cutting back to remember the version of Storm that he came to know, the newer one that has evolved from the look that her original look. And he's flashing back to previous issue where there was a battle going on between Gyrick and his squad of goons, and they were trying to capture or kill Rogue, and the gun went astray, and the blast did not hit its intended target. I just wanted to highlight these panels as well. There's some really unusual stuff going on here, Justin. I wanted to let you kind of talk a little bit about this. It's ultimately, I took one page and made it this whole slide. I was just curious your thoughts here.
Yeah, so I love this. I think that it's way better than what I feel like we've gotten in the past, especially in this era of a flashback, essentially,
right?
And especially one that repeats, you know, literally what happened last issue. You know, I know that it's typical. We haven't had as many rough ones in these more, you know, these recent ones, but you know, of course, just in the beginning of like starting the show and stuff, it was just very typical to really hammer away and give you a page or two of like exactly kind of what happened to catch you up. But I think they do it in a way that like, you almost are reading brand new material, it feels like, and the artwork is so much. It's just added because you didn't get these angles, you know. The one of her, like the three different ones, her falling
and she's crashing into his panel, which I split. You can kind of see his face next to her hands, but then I gave you the whole panel there as well.
Absolutely,
really cool.
Absolutely, I think that this is just I assume, or I hope that there's more storytelling like this when it comes to flashbacks and, you know, hinting back to the previous issue, things like
that. He does a lot of this kind of stuff. And I know that certainly in his Wolverine miniseries, the way in which time shifts and you see all the like gear all over Wolverine, and his mental understanding of what's happening versus. There's some really trippy, cool kind of stuff in that story. If people have never read that Weapon X miniseries that he did, you're missing out. Some really great stuff. What is up, Mattis? Good to see you, sir. First stream, happy to have you here. Right. A great panel with Guy Ritchie, which is the bottom corner one where he's blasting, and you see Forge twice, right? Forge sitting there watching it over again, suffering, and then Forge trying to stop him. Darrell, any thoughts here on this artwork? Do you want me to move forward a slide? What do you want, man?
I'll just reiterate what Justin was saying about, especially that panel with the 3 storms coming down. Love the transition of her, like the evolution of Storm to this point. We're almost a little shy of 100 issues in of the new, all different teams. So it's nice to get that recap if you're a new reader. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and built on this Forge look where he is just like dreading this. He's just he's reliving his mistakes, right? And so we cut to the shot that heard around the world that hits Storm, and it ultimately ignites her powers to a level that it destroys the ship they were trying to rescue, and she is zapped of her abilities, falls into the water, and Forge swims out and grabs her, and we get the explanation that he basically says, you missed your target, I'm gonna fix this, and drags her to shore. And while he's reliving this, I love the 2 panels there on the far side where you get to see Storm interrupting his memory, and he turns the machine off, and you get to see the floor return to its normal look. And Storm is basically saying, like, you should have let me die. I there's no reason to live without my powers, and then what you did, is worse than them shooting me, is letting me live like this. Then there's a quick shot of Xavier that we'll get into the next page, but Darrell, this is a cool way to give us the previous story, right? Because it's very built on who Forge is and his technology. But I just love the concept that this moment of him trying to do good after, the good after the bad here. It's not really making up for his mistake, right?
Oh, well, no, it's not. But he's also he's not giving her the full details yet.
He's still got one big secret.
Yeah, right? He's got his big secret. But we kind of skipped over it on the earlier page where, like, his penthouse or whatever, he can just like turn off like all or make all the floors like transparent. And
it's all like holographic technology, right? Everywhere.
Yeah.
Very Tony.
Isn't it here? Is it there where she says, like, please add a floor? It's like making me on this page?
It's a little bit later.
A little later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's just the hologram.
Because it's unsettling to her. This technology is not familiar with her.
Right. And he just turns it off, like when she walks in. Okay. I can't remember if that was that part, but yeah. It's just more of Forge's character,
Whose legs are those? He has pants, and those are white legs. I mean, don't be so judgy. I don't know if that. I think that's supposed to be Rogue falling into the water because she got hit sort of by the blast off of Storm, and they're saying that Rogue died or that they didn't discover her body, and that his team is looking for Rogue. So I think it's supposed to be Storm's legs. Yeah. Or sorry, Rogue's legs.
Yeah.
Justin, any thoughts here on this sort of catch-up sequence?
I mean, the way you pointed out, like Storm walking into the room and it's showing that in the projection, her almost like gold. I like the scene before that too, where he's standing over, watching him save, get Storm out of the water, and he's
all
gold.
Blue,
right? Yeah, but like under your,
it's like the technology is illuminating him, right?
Yeah,
whatever the lighting is natural.
It's a cool thought. Like it's a cool concept the way they did this.
Who was the colorist on this?
Oh yeah, I should have listed that name.
Glynis Ween and Shield.
Nice.
Were the colorists. So.
Ooh, I don't know.
So Xavier is trying to find her. He is using Cerebro. He's back at the mansion. He's trying all this technology. Nightcrawler's trying to help him, and they can't seem to find Storm at all. After she screamed and exploded in energy, which apparently was so intense that it knocked Xavier unconscious. He's been trying to find her and can't. And Nightcrawler's asking, like, "Does this mean she's dead?" And of course, this is the greatest fear Xavier has. He just has no way to confirm or deny what's going on, and so he's left kind of stuck. And then we jump back to the skyscraper and continue the conversation between Forge and Storm about leaving her, letting her die. And Storm is definitely very, as we mentioned earlier, unstable at this point. She's definitely not happy with what happened. And Forge is kind of keeping some secrets. He mentions that Guy Ritchie's team is looking for Rogue. They haven't found her. And so I think Storm is kind of caught between, I don't know if I trust this guy because he was clearly part of the team that was there, but he seems to be caring for me. Maybe I can trust him. It's sort of oscillating back and forth. And she lets it slip that she's like, hey, you've got your skills. I've still got mine. I can pickpocket you whenever I want. She's got his device for managing all the technology in the building, and he didn't even see her take it. And she's just, really trying to determine a lot of things about this place, this guy, and this situation all at the same time while dealing with the heavy burden that she's carrying here. So a lot of baggage on Storm here, Darrell. I mean, she's really at the whims of this guy.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't realize he's a mutant yet. I don't think.
No, he has not let that happen. That slide.
Yeah. So, all she is feeling is this like sense of depowerment that all she's known for, probably a good 15 years of her life in this ability. I mean, she was a goddess, and now they say that in the narration, you were, and now you're just regular folk.
Yes.
And it's just so powerful, all of it. Like,
yeah. And Forge, Justin, is basically trying to defend their actions a little bit by saying, look, you were in the company of this awful woman Rogue, who is a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. She's a killer. She's deadly and dangerous. What were you doing with her? And Storm's attitude is, look, she's reformed. I'm reformed. I used to be a pickpocket. Like, stop judging me by, one thing, one element, right?
Yep. Yeah, I love that she kind of took a stance with kind of protecting Rogue in that way, and saying that we're actually a lot more alike than many would think. And I like that it brings back up the history of Storm, and just like it's just nice to hear some of this stuff again and build upon her character even more from what we have seen, lots of little flashbacks and scenes in the past from what she's gone through and how even as a kid and things like that. So and I know she opens up even more here in these next couple of pages, but I love that she does, she kind of shows them by example with the pickpocket.
I can child's
play.
I can jump forward here if you want to see where she's really looking out over the city, and he's basically trying to convince her that being human is not all that bad, that I can try to find a way to maybe fix this for you. And she's dealing with it's kind of like she's describing the loss of her powers as this big black hole inside of her, where she can't feel Mother Nature anymore, can't feel the storm that's approaching from the west. Like, she can't feel. They're in Texas, and she there's a storm on its way, and she can't feel it intuitively like she used to. And there's even a part of her considering, like, there's a long fall down here. There's these elements of her mortality, feeling like it's more important that I have powers than I live. He kind of gives up on her and decides to go for a swim. But I'm just curious, Justin, your feelings about like how low she feels at this point.
Yeah, this is like rock bottom for her. I mean, the way she describes, well, two things. One, I like that they do. I mean, you would almost assume like, she can like feel storms and stuff like that, but I just like that she really does explain it. Like, she's
right,
the
nuance, right?
Yeah, of like what it feels like now that she can't, that she's got to find out the way other people do to find out that there's a storm, like to look ahead or to use a weatherman or whatever. Like, so it's for her to view it like that, and now basically say, I got nothing. I am below. She is at her bottom here,
which is why I got my Whitney Houston. I have nothing. Like,
yes, yeah,
and that's where she's at, right?
And I like the helpless one too. It's great.
I knew I had to get some. Some Hamilton in there for you.
Yeah. And the other thing too with the artwork, so this I really like as well, is the lighting features on her face when she puts her hand up to the glass, and it is just clearly giving you more again, just more of an understanding of the lighting in this room, the reflections that are going on. Obviously, things are changing around them, and that's just really well done. So
for sure,
yeah, that stood out for me.
Darrell, I mean, there's some great detail work happening here, but there's also, I think, what is for me the best part of this issue is the drama between these two characters. Which one are you more taken by in these sequences, or it's so hard not to be drawn into the art, but the weight of the characters is so significant too.
I mean, they're like so symbiotic, and I think that's a lot where, like, you know, Barry Windsor-Smith also helps plot and write this issue as well, and that's kind of like something he's very good at. I think is that human drama, and which Claremont as well is good at. And this is really the kind of story Claremont would prefer to write, I think. And you know, Barry Windsor-Smith, and it's like they're working so well together. That's why it's like kind of a shame it's only these like little one-off issues. But I mean, the artwork obviously sucks. Yeah, like that panel at the bottom with Storm by the window
with her arms spread.
With her arms, I mean, it's like you can tell like her like skeletal structure and everything is so it's realistic, but it's not like Alex Ross realistic. You know, it's like, but it seems very human. It's like the proportions are perfect, and
I love the way, like Justin's saying, the light hits her like her fingertips or her palm, like
well, it's like her palm on the glass, you know.
It's a great technique to create depth, right?
And so some weight because she's leaning on the glass a little bit, you know,
for sure.
That's true.
And then the panel next to it with Forge in the water. Now that's a weird transition. I thought when reading it that it's just like you said, it's just all of a sudden he's like, okay, our conversation's done, and then he's in the waters, and then he's swimming, you know.
Yes,
but I mean, you look at the texture in the water and stuff.
So good.
I mean, that's a hard thing to draw for any artist, really. But I mean, you see like just the slight ripples and stuff of it.
Yeah,
I mean, the coloring helps as well, but
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the next page, which if you're ready to go on to where it shows him actually swimming.
It's so good. Jackson Kirk says, Forge is you're telling me I have to trust these meteorologists? They know nothing. So he's swimming. He's thinking a little bit about how can I trust her to be on her own? Maybe she kills herself. And then he's like, you know what? She has to be able to be accountable for her own actions at this point. I can't just do it for her. And he's speaking from a place where he's sort of referencing some personal truths that we haven't learned yet. And he's swimming along. All of a sudden you hear Storm saying, the water looks nice. He said you should join. She dives right in and then races him to the other side. And even though she's way behind him, she totally wins. And she's kind of teasing him and laughing about it. And then when she gets out, she sees the glove that he's been wearing and the metal leg, and is kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be teasing a handicapped guy that I beat him in a swimming pool. And he pops out and he's like, no, you know, let me catch my breath. And he compliments her laugh, and there's a little bit of a rapport going there. And he climbs out and she's basically asking him like, well, what's going on with the leg? And it's kind of like, maybe we both have these scars. There's an element of that, Darrell, here where it's like, they can connect over wounds in a way.
Over a loss of some sort that, which I don't know. The previous pages, I guess I didn't pay attention. Was he wearing the shorts? No, he was wearing pants. So she didn't know that he had that.
The leg was kind of a sneak, right?
Yeah. So it's like when she sees it, and then it's like it dawns on her too that, like, where her loss of her powers is like losing a limb or something. You know, so there's that that connection,
right? Justin, what were your thoughts on this swimming scene? Because I obviously fan of X-Men in swimming gear, but like more than that, there's a really cool character thing happening here.
First of all, the Austin Powers gift, spot on.
Wait, there's an Austin Powers gift. I was looking at
I mean, he's not a European, he's a Native American lefty. So I mean, like, you know, he can wear his Speedo if he feels the need.
So I feel like she immediately, I mean, her mind kind of shifts when she sees the leg and everything else, and gains this this stronger connection or respect for you know, just knowing like, oh, like, okay, like he's kind of gone through some stuff too.
Right.
You know, and so I just feel like that was the first time we kind of see this. We also, one of the things, was it on this page? Oh no, I'm getting ahead of it.
I can move forward if you need. I don't want.
No. There was
these are very long scenes, and so I try to highlight little moments, but I get like there's more to it.
Yeah. The part I was going to talk about was where he kind of reveals a bit more about his wound. And
so, Darrell, did you want to say anything here, or should I go to the next panel? Is that all right?
You can go to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one where basically Forge says, you know, I am a Vietnam vet, and I was in Vietnam, and I had some very rough experiences there that scarred and shaped me into the individual that I am today. And I know what you're going through in some way, not identical, but connectivity wise, I feel a relation to what you're going through. So Justin, what is it you wanted to say about this?
Just the fact that we're learning more about Forge. I mean, he's still very new, the character, you know, himself. And he seems like he's got a like an open mindset to things since he's, you know, the experiences that he's had kind of gone through. Like, this is a very new experience for Storm. And he seems to be a little bit more on the bright side of it, with like hope, you know, and knowing that, you know, there's still so many things that she can do, even if she feels like she's lost so much. Right. So I think it's definitely what she needs right now to hear, and to know that it's coming from someone, you know, that's lived it and experienced it. So again, just more things to help connect them and, you know, build this bit of a, you know, love story here that we're getting.
For sure. Yeah, Darrell, there's obviously some really great weight here when you talk about wounded in combat, like the relationship between hey, you know what that does to your psyche, and I can sympathize and maybe help you down this road that I've already walked.
Yeah, I mean, and he's already gone through what he's going through now and come out the other side, you know. So that's why he obviously feels the guilt of creating the weapon that did this to her, but at the same time he has that experience to help guide her through a new chapter. But he's also planning, like, maybe I can fix it. But, you know, at the same time, he's like, well, if I can't, I can at least help her cope.
And he's, you know, at different points talks a little bit about it's almost like in his thoughts, he's mentioning, like, how do I handle this? Knowing how people handled him, he's kind of reflecting on, you know, are there ways that people did things for me that I could utilize in, you know, helping her? Let's see. We got Mark Sousa in the chat. He says, "Sun hasn't come out in Toronto in 3 weeks. You know, I'll call Storm. I'll get her on it." Last week, Raul said Justin did a great job describing the panels, and I think it went to his head.
Oh, because he's above. He said, "Is Justin trying to take over?"
Don't worry. I'm trying to keep us on pace here. Yeah. And Mark, love you, brother. Thank you so much. That was very kind of you, man. Made my day right there. Nice. So we're going to jump away from this, you know, touching sequence to some really messed up stuff. We got Dr. Valerie Cooper, who was involved with Gyrick and his hunt for Rogue and the battle sequence that kind of went awry. And we've got the federal agent that is kind of helping them, and they're having a bit of a dispute about Rogue. They can't find her. They don't know what's going on. And we got a tease last week of these wraiths, these Rom villains from his storyline, where Rogue, previously, if you didn't know, Rogue's earliest appearances are tied closely to Rom. And these wraiths are now looking at an opportunity to come to our world and do the things that Rom has sort of kept them from doing. So Valerie dismisses this agent, and he gets in his car, and there's a wraith, and the wraith is like, "Zot, I'm going to absorb you. I'm going to suck the life out of you and then become you. And then my two other guys, we're going to go get this blonde lady, and we're going to continue this." So there's this action sequence side story here going on, Justin, where we get a little bit of gross. I mean, it's quite nasty sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, like I was getting some real horror vibes from a lot of it. Like the artwork was, I love some of this artwork here. Like the like that first scene of the guy from behind him, and you see the wraith head on. The detail in the wraith, we didn't really see as much of that last time either. Right. So you get this really cool glimpse, the lighting, reflecting, coming from the other side of the window, like that all was awesome. And then like understanding how they work, because again, I mean, we don't know anything about wraiths. If you didn't read any ROM stuff, you certainly didn't know anything. So to see this thing just like like suck the life out of this guy instantly,
like a straw.
It's like scary as hell. Like, whoa, these things are legit. Like, and for the way this issue is moving, and as heavy as it was, I do appreciate this change up, even though the story is a bit outlandish and it's unless you're reading ROM, a lot of it might not really make sense of what these random aliens are. But
because this is legitimately like the third, fourth panels of these creatures we've ever seen.
Yeah, right.
So if you're lost in this, don't worry, you're
not alone. Right, exactly. But at the same time, you kind of, I mean, they kind of explain from what we got last week and this week. I feel caught up enough to understand at least that these things are not the good. Basics. The basics, right? And how it ties
the
in
new
with
alien
Valerie.
baddie, right?
yeah, exactly. But also like that it ties in with Valerie Cooper and the fact that they're still trying to find Rogue and everything else. So we're still getting relevant storytelling to some of our our characters that we involved for a while.
So now, Darrell, I own these ROM issues, and I've never read them. Have you read the ROM issues here? How ROM heavy are you?
I am not ROM compliant, or I've never read any ROM other than when he's appeared in other books.
Right.
So
then you're in the same boat with us as far as like these creatures.
I do know the die race because when ROM was popular, these wraiths were showing up in different places,
right,
in the Marvel book. So like, I mean, like I know them from that, but like,
sure,
I don't know the whole ROM backstory to them. I just knew that they were kind of like, they were the new alien race, like the Skrull or the Kree or whatever. You just kind of rolled with the Badu. all the Marvel, alien races that just pop up. You just kind of accepted it as one of those.
We got rid of the Brood, now we got the Wraith. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then let's jump a little forward here. Valerie's door gets a knock. It's the agent, but nope, it's not. It's really the Wraith, and I got my other Wraiths, and we're gonna suck the life out of you. But to the rescue comes Rogue. She comes in, rock'em sock'em robot style, and starts just kicking the daylights out of these Wraiths, even though she's not there to stop these guys. She's there because she's mad at Valerie and wants to beat the snot out of the blonde. Everybody wants to beat this blonde lady up. Yeah. Nobody's giving her the daylight. Now I had to do this, Justin, and here's where I'm at. Man, the eyebrows in this book. It's kind of like they erased the eyebrows and then just drew a quick line to replace the eyebrows here. Rogue's eyes and eyebrows in particular, when she bursts in there, look like she's like cross-eyed, and then like she's got walleye vision, and she's got the like quick drawn pencil eyebrows. They can be a bit much sometimes. How are you? Yeah. Are you okay with the eyebrows? Are you okay with this Rogue? I know it can be a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I look that closely into the eyebrows. I definitely felt like urgency and anger in the face expression.
Right.
I think it's fine. The artwork, like that scene of her punching through, I think I was more focused on the actual action of the idea of her,
flying Kirby fist.
Yeah, exactly. I like the horrific look that Valerie has on her face in the scenes right
when she's being held over there.
Yeah. Like again, like this whole section of this book was very like horror vibes, and it just like changes your emotions so much, because you're like, man, these heavy, sad things over here with Storm and Forge, and then you're at this, you're like, oh, run, get out of there, like you're like freaking out and you're scared and you don't want to go to bed after that. So yeah, I think it's a good mix.
Nice. So Darrell, for me, like that's one of the biggest challenges in this book for the artwork for Barry Windsor is women's eyebrows are super thin and super harsh. Where are you at with the eyebrows?
I didn't make note other than Storm's eyebrows, because that's where she has the shaved head.
They're not far off.
They're so prominent, but like I hadn't made the note that you did, but like you pointed out, I mean,
good. I guess I'm the only one.
Maybe that's just the way women had eyebrows in the 80s. I don't know.
80s eyebrow.
They're always plucking eyebrows and stuff,
right?
But I love the panel of Rogue coming in. For one thing, I always joke about this era of Rogue. I call her the homely Rogue, because by the time like Silvestri and Jim Lee are done with Rogue, she's like constantly sexy, right?
She's a bombshell, yeah.
But before this, I mean, she's always just kind of like plain, you know?
Yeah.
But like this Rogue, I mean, she's like the slender figure and stuff, but she's still got that like short kind of boy, brush back hair and stuff.
Yeah.
I do like that panel a lot, you know, and the clothes look real, like it's like a blouse, you know, it's not just like
she's just wearing her normal gear,
something different,
which she comments on in a second here.
No costumes in this issue. Take note of that. Even Nightcrawler, who's always in his costume, is just
he had a turtleneck. I meant to bring that up.
No, never is there a costume in this issue. So maybe that's why they took the Uncanny off the cover.
Ooh, well said. So then, Darrell, we jump. This battle continues on for a bit, where Valerie's trying to fight off the attacker. Storm Rogue is coming in and trying to fight these things, but she realizes, if I punch them, I'm not wearing my gloves, and I'm going to start absorbing some of these things, one way or another. And she screams in agony because she's now like got wraith thoughts and wraith things pulsing through her. I also don't want to jump over the fact that Valerie grabs the agent by the skull and is like, "What is your deal? Let me go." And she realizes this guy's not going to let her go. So she just caps the guy. She just blows him away.
Execution style,
Yeah. And then just runs to the parking lot and is like, "I don't care. Rogue is screaming. I didn't like her anyways. I got to get to my car." What is your thought on all the action we're getting here, Darrell?
I mean, this is great sequential storytelling. Like the whole like part with Val fighting him off. You know, she claws his face back, knees him in the groin, like bends him over, you know, and before she gets him by the head and pulls the gun out. And then when I posted the book, I even highlighted that panel of her shooting up there. It's just like, even like the gun, and you see like the little shake motion of the gun from the recoil of like firing it and the bam. And like, I mean, it's just that one panel close up is great.
Well, then the two next to it where she's like reacting in shock, and then the next panel is almost built right in, but she's running out the door, and all you see is just part of her going into the darkness of the night, right?
It's pitch black.
Justin, what are your thoughts here when Rogue's powers are just as much a flaw as they are a help, because she's punching these things and instantly gets a negative reaction?
Yeah, like I almost like forgot for a second that that's the thing until she said it, and I'm like, oh man, like, and then I start getting like, you know, nervous. Is she gonna, you know, is this wraith gonna take over her? I mean, even now she still doesn't quite know to the extent of her powers and what can happen or what can be done. Or with the thoughts, I was like, oh, like maybe she kind of picks up the thoughts and is able to, you know, I don't know, use them in a way that helps, which I guess down the road she kind of
technically she kind of does.
So that was kind of cool, as long as again it doesn't fully take her over.
One quick punch, you know, won't be enough.
Right. And I agree with Darrell. The gun going off and just like a simple bam, and the shaking of the actual gun there, that was a really cool way to do that, you know, knowing what happened.
Because we don't know a ton about Valerie, but she clearly has some cojones here. She's just like, this isn't going to work.
No problem. Yeah,
just pull the trigger and move.
Her and Moira would get along well together.
Chet says he is ROM savvy and he likes these foes. He's very entertained by this. Jackson says, I know nothing about the wraiths of ROM. Overplucking is a problem. You know, watch out. Not a fan of Barry Windsor's women, especially the face. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to some of that. But we got to finish this arc. Rogue, you can see, starts like throwing up, and she's just feeling like nauseous, and she's like, I'm hungry for human flesh, like I want to kill them. She starts calling out for Xavier. Xavier, wearing the Cerebro headpiece, is like, oh, I found Rogue. I know where she is, at least. And he sends Nightcrawler off. He's like, I think I know what's going on here. We can at least use Rogue to help find Storm as well. There's a search helicopter coming around after all the excitement that's going down. But Valerie's like, I am not dealing with any of this. I'm getting in this car. I'm driving. She goes tearing out of this parking lot, crashing into cars, zigzagging. She notices, oh, wait, there's the dead clothing body of my friend, the agent, but I don't really care. I'm going to keep going. Then, boom, out of the back seat, there's Rogue. Rogue grabs her around the neck and is like, look, I don't want to like eat you, but I'm feeling the hunger to eat you, but I need to know what you know about Storm. and decides it's worth it. I'm just going to absorb your thinking. I know about these wraiths, but I need to know where Storm is, and is willing to crash and wreck this car and probably kill Valerie just to gain that knowledge. Talk about sequential storytelling, Justin. There's some really great bits to bit here. I love the very center purple panel there, where the car is almost breaking out of the panels.
Yes,
like the panels are bending to the vroom of that car going flying through. I love this stuff.
Totally. Like it actually, the way everything's tilted, and you almost feel like you're part of this scene, like all together. I like this whole action sequence. Like and again, I think it's something I needed, or that the issue needed, just to kind of break things up a bit and add a little bit of excitement in a different way. Especially if you're making this a double feature, you're going to have to change it up. So this is like wild stuff. And I love the face expressions in the car when Rogue's reaching over the steering wheel panel, and Valerie, like the lighting and everything, the detail of the teeth and the mouth, like in Valerie's face, like terrified, like completely terrified. And then that bottom far panel, I almost was thinking like Poison Ivy type vibes, because you see all these like vines, all the reeds, and it's green, like, and I was like, oh, is this a crossover? Where are we going with this? But I thought these panels were awesome.
Darrell, so much great detail work here. Every strand of Valerie's hair, the broken glass, the reeds, the line work on the Cerebro. I mean, Barry Windsor-Smith bringing the A game here.
Yeah, these pages, you could tell he really like must have buckled down for a night or two, because I mean, I love the panel of Rogue coming over from the back seat and grabbing the wheel, and like, I mean, that, and like even like the panels of Xavier with like the helmet on and his facial expressions of pain and Nightcrawler's concern, and I mean, there's nothing about these, the sequence here that's not stellar,
Except the eyebrows, but
except the eyebrows. I mean, if you do look at in the panel that we all love of Rogue coming over the back seat, I mean, the eyebrows accentuate the anger in Rogue right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they really do. I mean, she's like, it's like, like a Disney evil queen or something coming over there. Like.
I love it.
By the way, I need more Nightcrawler. I need more turtleneck Nightcrawler. I think this is great. It's really great.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what Amanda would say as well.
Yes, she would.
So this ends with Rogue figuring out where Storm is. Storm is at this guy Forge's place. She's in Texas. I got to get back. She runs off to the mansion. She's got to let them know so that they can rescue her. Storm, meanwhile, she ain't wearing much. She's got no uniform anymore. She doesn't have her older gear. It's all been destroyed apparently. And in a very Beauty and the Beast fashion, he's got like clothes laid out for her. He's got this pretty pink dress, and she's looking through her gear, and she decides, you know what? I'm going to wear this. I'm going to try it out. Walks down, drops this stunner on Forge, who is just like, I don't know how to speak anymore. I don't have words. Language, no worky. And she's like, oh, I may have hit this guy too hard. I may have just gone a little too. I need to take it down a notch. So she immediately goes back up and changes, comes back down, and he is like, both. The funny thing is, both of them have like thought bubbles where they're both like, God, I'm such an idiot. I totally screwed this up. And it's funny, in a sort of rom-com-y kind of way, this back and forth. Meanwhile, he's cooking something of an exotic dish, a sort of curry that Storm is immediately saying, oh yeah, I love this. I've had this is great, and she lists she can pronounce it. And he's
doesn't
like,
everybody?
Yeah, he's very impressed with her knowledge of the food that he's cooking for her, and sort of teasing her with, hey, you've never had champagne, you should try this stuff. And she's like, no, I don't drink. And he's like, but hey, be human, join me with this. Like, let's try some of this.
You might even like it.
And throws it out to her, and she's willing to try it, but then she's like pounding it, and he's like, no, you sip it. Don't need to pound it. Yes, Jackson Roy Kirk, it is a rom-com.
Roy Kirk's on fire.
So Darrell, what are your thoughts on this interaction that does have sort of rom-com meet cute vibes? And what are we getting here?
The dress is very 80s prom.
It's 16 candles. Is that what you're getting from this?
Yeah. And then like what she changes into, even she puts on like just overalls, no shirt, no top underneath, just overalls. like that's any less like seductive to a man. Like, oh, you're still basically not wearing much. But
I mean, we are 1 year away from Grace Jones being a Bond woman, so like this is in keeping with the times in some way, right? I get Grace Jones vibes from this, and A View to a Kill, James Bond girl like vibes here.
But he had all these, like, it looks like she's in a closet full of clothes, and she already had a bathing suit that he must have had on hand for her. Yeah. I mean, did he order these clothes for her or these leftover clothes?
Don't hate the player, Darrell. He's a billionaire smooth operator. You gotta let him have it. Justin, any thoughts on this sequence here?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Well, one, the action sequence, the way it ends, Rogue, trying to put a little bit more of the pieces together, and now we know that she's kind of on top of it as far as, okay, I need to find out, where Forge is, and why, and she's still questioning, like, why did they hurt Storm? Like, she doesn't know. It was kind of just, it was essentially an accident, but
yeah, she realizes, oh God, it's my fault.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and then I love the artwork, like Storm, the second panel. Not right next, like the way she's looking down, the way her arm is like drawn and like trying on the dress or looking at it in a certain way, like it's just so well done. I think like the shadowing of her face and everything as she looks down, it really stood out to me like that. I laugh at the fact that, again, we saw that a little bit already in the beginning, but more of Forge just like saying the wrong thing, and he's like telling himself in his head, idiot, cretin, call her back, tell her she's beautiful, like, and it's like funny because I feel like it can be relatable, or like we just get nervous and not say the right thing or whatever.
Well, and he comments on like how he's incredibly solitary, he doesn't have people over, like he's not used to
this type of
expressing his emotions and his feelings about things, or being sort of flabbergasted like this.
Yeah, totally, that's true.
Yeah.
So it's just great to see the human side of both of them,
right?
Really.
Which I'll let Justin kind of continue here. Their conversation goes on for a ways, and she's asking, "Oh, I can't tell what's going on. I think I hear thunder." And he's like, "Oh, let me show you." And he instantly makes all the surroundings almost invisible, so that they can see as if they were standing out in the storm. This gives Storm incredible vertigo. She it feels like I can't fly. This is very scary. I don't feel safe. And so he immediately turns it off and apologizes, and is kind of like, I'm sorry that I did that, and then leans in and snags a little kiss. And he calls her beautiful, and she says he is beautiful, and he's like, well, all right, that's interesting. And basically what you get is this meet cute romantic moment, and then we'll get to the phone call, but they're interrupted by the phone ringing. So Justin, it's. He's in, right? He's going to make this happen.
Yeah. So, this really just gave me even stronger perspective of where Storm's head is, with the fear and detachment that she has to losing her powers and the floor changing. And this is what Darrell, you were pointing out earlier. She freaks out when he's like kind of showing her some of this stuff, and really like breaks down. We also get a little hint as to how the room works in this scene by this little, this little remote control. So that kind of plays a part later. But then the other thing is she kind of, again, we know that she made this dramatic change over the past, 10, 20 issues now with the Mohawk and everything else, but she like elaborates a little bit more on that, and breaking it all down to the detail of how her emotions, and she says she learned this early on as a kid with her powers, is that her emotions very much play a massive role in what comes out of her powers.
Right.
And so she's like kind of held a lot of that for a long time, and she kind of got, tired of fighting of that. And so now she, in this rebel type of vibe, we kind of knew a little bit of that, but not to the extent of the detail she gives. So I like that they kind of elaborate a little bit more to her change and her, again, the shaving with the Mohawk and everything else. So,
which I think could easily be dismissed as like editorial, she needs a new look, but I think the grounding it in character is interesting.
Big time. Yeah, no, that's a great point too, because we have kind of touched on that, and a few people have talked about like different reasonings,
or a bunch of letters in the letters section.
Yeah, right. So I like that they're whatever the reason was, at least now they're still playing more into that, and explaining a little bit more.
Totally.
And then the big kiss there for a brief second.
Right, Darrell, that kiss is a big moment, right? He went for it. He's like, this is my shot.
It's been building up to it for what, about 35 pages or so. It's been building up to this moment, and of course, it's got like cinematic timing of the phone ringing to interrupt the whole thing.
Yeah. And then he continue that, he basically says, "Oh, let me take this phone and call in my study." Then he pushes some buttons, hangs it up, and says, "Excuse me, I'll be right back." And she realizes, what the heck's wrong with me? I haven't even called my friends to let them know I'm okay. Yeah. So she picks up the phone to call, and now she's listening in on the party line to kind of hear what's going on, and hears the truth. This is when she learns that he built the gun and that he is basically part of the problem, not necessarily just here to help her solve this thing. She goes running out of this place and instantly into his maze. His house is this maze, and she's struggling to find her way. She's tripping and falling, and she's got the remote and she's trying to make it work, but it's just causing more problems than it is solutions here. So Darrell, what are your thoughts on the truth landing here?
Okay, so first of all, she knows he's on the phone. Why is she picking that moment to say, "Oh, I need to make a phone call"? He's already on the line. She knew she called
Xavier earlier.
She knew what she was doing.
She knew she was getting ready to listen in on something. She knew he was on the phone,
right?
She was trying to mentally justify it, like, "Oh, I want to listen in. I need to call here. Oh, I forgot." He just walked out of the
Well, there's a part of her that's still a captive and is trying to like probably work out the puzzle.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to get to this point at some point in the story, right? She has to find out what's going on, and because he's not the one that like tells her face to face, she hears him discussing it with someone else. It just ruins the whole bonding that they've had for the whole issue up to this point, you know?
Yeah.
And then yeah, she definitely feels that like captive, like he's not helping me. I am a prisoner,
for sure.
You know? So the fight or flight kicks in.
Yeah, this whole sequence here. Chet says he thinks Grace Jones, he thinks Boomerang. Come on, man. She's a Bond girl first. Come on, give me that. Guy Ritchie is definitely a piece of work. I love the careless whisper throw out here. I'm never gonna dance again. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. So Justin, this is not an easy house to escape. This is like Saw here. Like we're into some like deeper level escape challenging here.
Yeah, big time. So one thing that really I took away from this moment here, and you guys, I know you guys have a couple of years on me, but as far as how I felt reading this, I thought to myself, kids nowadays are never going to understand this phone issue because they're going to say, why would she pick up a phone and hear someone else's conversation?
Right. The party line is not a thing anymore. Right. The idea that like you could listen in on somebody's call, it doesn't work on cell phones. It doesn't happen.
That kind of hurt me. That kind of put me in perspective of where I'm at right now. But
at least it's not at least it's not a rotary phone. There's none of this thing, right?
How would that be like in Forge's like super tech penthouse with transparent floors, but now he's got like a
you know that he's got in his bedroom the Sports Illustrated Super Bowl phone, right? He's got
like a football shaped phone.
Yeah. Darrell, his would be silence. His would be silence. Like that would be the feature. Yeah, you wouldn't listen to this bad boy. Nothing.
Candace is with you. The old folks from the Stone Age of technology. He mounts his cell phone on the wall. Don't worry, Chet. I knew you meant Stone Age and not Stone She. Get the spelling mistakes out of the way now. Get them out. But Justin, like, I chose the dream is collapsing because the next bit is like, holy crap. Like she pushes the wrong button and now she is in his Vietnam flashback. And there's planes, there's bombs, there's exploding and violence all around. She's struggling through a jungle. She is absolutely lost in his world and falling through panels. Some of them, the world outside with like lightning and thunder, and others with this war-torn. What were your thoughts here on this really wild couple of pages?
So I immediately thought of the Danger Room, seeing all this, and I just thought like she's got a lot of experience in this, or anyone under Professor X and living in the mansion would have a lot of experience with this. Obviously, it's still very different, and her powers are not there. But that was my first initial thought, was like, if I was her, thinking like, all right, like, hang on, this is just like the Danger Room. Like, how do we, we know there's a safety switch, or there's got to be some, way to change this off or whatever. So, and I know that obviously the controller was a big part to all this, but I think this is a great way to kind of spark up the ending of this issue, to just add a little bit more flair again. I'm totally fine with all emotion and dialogue type of issue, but like I do look for, as we talked about last issue, like some of the action and things like that, and I think they do it in a nice way, where it's not like forced, but it makes sense. We're just like, okay, yeah, there's like planes flying by and all this stuff, because it can in this room, because it's like a Danger Room. So so yeah, I just like that they utilize that as a way to kind of pick, partially to pick things up. Yeah, and it still stayed true to the story. So yeah, a lot of excitement here for sure.
Run, you got that run, Forrest, run.
Yeah.
What is up, Damien?
Hey, Damien. These panels are really cool too, by the way. Like the tall.
Yes.
Like, looking in the omnibus side.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of fun play with these panels, because one of them even looks like she tripped on the panel bar and fell into the next panel, right in the middle right-hand side there. Really kind of cool. So he has his traumatic experience on speed dial on his remote. I mean, that's kind of the guy he is. It does seem. I mean, lately he's been reminiscing over what he did to Storm and just replaying that over. It does seem in keeping with kind of his craziness. Never too young for a Vietnam flashback. Bobby, good to see you too, sir. Darrell, what are your thoughts on the wacky world of Forge here?
Oh, I love that third vertical panel of like flaming horses or something. It looks like. And then even when she falls down, it lets you kind of know it's a hologram, because the grass blades are coming through her.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think this was impactful because we already knew about Forge and his injury from earlier in the issue. So now it's like we get to witness it too. And like you were saying before, the way that's like Barry Windsor-Smith finding a way to like play with our time. I mean, it's like it's in the present, but he found a way to work this in without just doing like a straight up like, here's Forge's flashback with like curved, bordered panels, like just to show it. And for Storm to experience it as well.
Right. Because you had his explanation, which was kind of short, but now we're like seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Sorry, go ahead. By the way, to that panel that you were talking about, Darrell, with the grass and everything, I just realized like you can see the chair and the table, like the blue chair, the blue table, and that one green panel, her laying down
where she's laying on the ground, the bottom middle one.
I didn't notice that like the first time through, but again, just giving you more perspective of the room and remembering like, oh yeah, technically he sat there like when he was watching old videos.
The blend of reality versus computer generated world.
There's a lot of thought into this for sure.
Totally. She basically feels like, I'm so lost in this fake technology, I need the goddess of nature, and she calls out, and a lightning bolt strikes and blasts a hole right through the side of the building, exposing the outside world, the rain, the wind, and everything, and basically shutting down the technology. I got some Tron vibes from this sequence as Forge gets over to her and is basically asking her to understand what's going on. Like, I didn't intend this purpose. Like, I was not trying to harm you. I'm sorry that this is how it all turned out, but I'm definitely here to try to help. Of course, Storm is saying all the things we said last week on Justin's channel about what did you think? You built a gun. What did you expect it to do? Like it's not designed to sit on a shelf and be looked at. It's going to get used. Right. And calling him to task on a lot of this stuff, and forcing him to deal with the repercussions. And then, of course, going to the edge of the building and thinking about the jump and thinking about moving on. So this is some really big stuff. JP says it just makes me madder at him. He should understand the devastating effects of a weapon of war, and yet he made it and just handed it over, right? Very casual. It's Omni X-Men's. Sure, we're the Omni X-Men's. So Darrell, as the dream collapses and reality sets in, what are your thoughts on what reality means for these two?
I love the panel of Forge with like the digital stuff kind of breaking up,
right?
Especially because when you do think of this as being 1980, this was done in 1984. Like the idea of like a digital world and this altered reality that we kind of lived through, in that, that's like the Apple Vision Pro just came out. So even though it's like a headset, like that's what you see inside it, right? Is like this kind of like false world mixed within our real world.
Right.
So it's interesting to see how somebody is perceiving that in a time when that technology in real life was just so abstract.
Right. Bobby says guns don't take away people's powers. Mutants do. Or people take away power. So it's not the gun. It's not the gun's fault. Justin, as the dream collapses here, what are some of your thoughts on these panels?
Yeah, I mean, this was clearly gearing up for what I was expecting to be. I mean, after she's found out and everything, like a very heavy sequence of back and forth, just the truth coming out, them facing each other now for the first time since the phone call. The rain, like really setting the scene, the background, everything else. Like there's a lot of detail going on in the background of each of these panels, and I really
all the little broken glass and
big time. I mean, again, you just feel like you're there. And to Darrell's point, I love that they came up with these kind of pink, lines and crosses that are kind of going through in front of Forge, especially in that one scene, that second panel in on the second page. I'm not your enemy, he says, and she says, liar.
Or even the siren going off, the awooga. Oh, there's a siren going off because she's broken the security of this building, which we can ask ourselves the question, Justin, like, she doesn't have her abilities, but she called down lightning in this moment. Like she clearly asked for lightning to do what it did.
Right. Yeah, that wouldn't just happen. Yeah, no, it definitely makes you wonder, like, there's still this connection. There's still this communication of some sort that she has with her abilities or whatever it is that she's been connected to in the past. So that was definitely, I mean, I wasn't expecting, I mean, she's shouting to the heavens and you don't expect, until it happens
and gets her wish, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is the final 3 pages here where he's basically admitting, look, I'm a mutant too. And my ability is the thing that's going to make or break your problem. Like I'm the only one. I built this thing. I can fix it. Just give me the chance. I don't even fully understand what I made. And of course she does what we are all happy to see her do, which is lay him out and just be like, I don't want to hear from you right now. I can't hear these things that you're saying. And she basically is saying, like, you've turned on your own kind here. You can claim to be one of us, but we wouldn't do this to one another just for the kicks of building some new technology. And if you genuinely wanted to make an improvement on the world, you've got that inside of you, but you're not doing it. You're just spinning your wheels here. Some hard truths, Justin, really just throwing the hard truths in his face.
Yeah, big time. I mean, this whole last set of scenes here, I mean, she has every right and every point that she makes of just not trusting a word that the guy says at this point because of everything that just happened, out of all this. Now, unfortunately, it's at a time where he is genuinely trying to share, like, I'm a mutant, she questions that, like, why should I even believe that you're mutant and all this stuff? Like, what is, you have not proven anything. And he had talked about earlier, like, his quietness and I forget the word he used, but and how it's kind of it helped him through time, and he feels like it's a good thing to not give all the details away. But she's been very opposite throughout this whole issue of being so honest and straightforward and telling things she's never told. I mean, she even states that in some of the part of the issue here, where she shares certain parts of her story of her parents, and her scared of being in close, corners, like shared a lot of those truths, and that was her first time. So he was able to get her to open up, and yet the other way around didn't quite, go down. And in fact, probably the only time that he did really open up was like kind of by mistake when she saw his leg at the pool, was like in a way like an open up, between that and the Vietnam stuff. But other than that, it's been very one-sided, and now it's really backfired on him. Even though I think he's thought that it would help. But I love the scene of her smashing him in the face. Like just that in itself is like a lightning strike. To see that. And then him to get up still, and
the chalk heard around the world.
Yeah, exactly. And for her to like refuse to like, need his help, and to say like, hey, at the end of the day, I know that I'm going to walk, or I'm going to have my powers again, like very confidently.
Totally.
So yeah, really powerful scenes here.
Darrell, she basically says now at the end, like, I'm going to walk a different road than you in my recovery. I don't care that I don't have my powers, but I'm not going to be you. I'm not going to fall into the same mistakes. And I know I'll fly again. And that's basically where she leaves it as she walks away. Kind of a strong move for her, who was clearly in a state of depression earlier.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround, actually. I felt like from her.
It's a lot of journey. In
this yeah. So, she was just like so low at the beginning of this issue to end on this note, which is, that is the ultimate goal if we want to get Storm from losing her power back on her feet. It took a double-sized issue to do it, though. We didn't have to string it out for like 4 or 5 issues.
Right. You even got some Wraith action in there.
Right?
Yeah. Squeeze the little Wraith.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There was a 62 saying that Will Smith chalk. Gotta give it to him.
Keep my name.
It was supposed to be used on the Wraiths, and Guy Ritchie took it to go after mutants. Yes, maybe, but I don't think that's what Forge intended it for either.
Yeah.
That chalk shot with the like water splashing off, really great. But that's the whole issue there. We've finished. So Justin, I want to know, you've had your first BWS book. What are your feelings now that you've gone through this journey?
Yeah, as far as the artwork goes, I am down for more of his artwork. I really liked the change up. It was like, I can see where it's different, and it might not be for everybody. I think I'm still like not fully on board with Ramita's stuff. Again, it's been hit or miss along the way, and I think this is refreshing to just get something different here, and the detail in a lot of the face expressions and things like that was refreshing. So again, ever since that first splash page. So overall, I'm looking forward to more. From what I hear when you guys talking about it, seems like we don't get that much of it, which is I
want to say it's 4 or 5 issues total that he did on the Uncanny run, and then of course the Wolverine miniseries.
Right.
And that includes his first issue that I'll tell you which number it was in a little bit here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to like just learn more about the artist and see like what happened to him from here, or even after his 5 or 6 issues. But yeah, overall, this was a very heavy read. But I think it definitely warranted the 2 issues, as Darrell was saying before, like to be able to get from this point to that and not have it too condensed or sped up. I think it was done well overall. And again, just seeing the relationship between these two, learning more about Forge. I'm still very new to Forge, so it's like
we all are supposed to be at this point, right? 2 issues in.
So this is, I'm still very curious about him and what.
I guess it's 3. We have 3 issues in, right?
Yeah. And then to see Storm at her lowest is very different, because she's very much strong and confident, and owns it and everything else. And in that beginning, it was very different for her. To her, almost feel like she has to prove herself, as she mentions in the issue, to him. Wearing the dress and not embarrassing herself. was saying the wrong thing either, things like that. Like it's just kind of like it was just a different Storm, but I get it. Like I kind of get it, like just knowing how devastated she's been going through what she recently went through. So there's a lot of character build in this issue, and I mean I'm glad. I mean I would highly recommend it to anybody. It's I'm glad we took the time to read it because a lot of stuff involved for sure.
I didn't hear a grade in there anywhere. I know you're trying to dodge that bullet here. The mutant power bullet is hitting you.
The overall grade, I think I'm still gonna keep it up there. This is like a 9 for me. I think that again, just more the character building between Storm, mainly on Storm, and just knowing what she's kind of given up, how she's handling it, the growth that she has just within this issue is tremendous. And then, again, Forge being new as he is, wanting to know more about that. I like the Wraith scene stuff. I like the horror stuff. It was a nice, change of pace to a lot of the issues. So I'm going to go with a 9 for this one.
Nice.
This is a 9. Yeah.
All right. Darrell, what about you, sir?
I'll give it a 9. The cover knocks it down from being, I think, a perfect book, but, not that it's a badly drawn cover, but as we talked about, it's just kind of dull. I could just gush on and on and on about Barry Windsor-Smith, and it is interesting to hear Justin, come from this perspective of this being the first time he's ever been introduced to him. I don't remember the first Barry Windsor-Smith book I read. It may have been some of those Weapon X issues, but he did a lot of that. He did a lot of Valiant stuff too early on that I remember.
Didn't he do some Conan as well, if I'm not mistaken?
He did a little run on Conan.
I think so, yeah.
No, he did a long run on Conan.
Yeah,
he did like 20 some odd issues.
Yeah,
like
he
did
a lot.
Yeah, but his style was different when he started Conan and the X-Men. He was kind of like in that late 60s house mold. He was admittedly aping Kirby a little bit because he was a big Kirby fan, and he thought that's what he needed to do.
A lot of flying fists.
Yep, and kind of a lot of some squareness in the fists and stuff. But and I've not read all of the Conan run, but I've looked through enough of them to see where his style evolves. And then he actually took a pretty long break from comics, and I think this is one of the first things he did when he made a return to comics.
Nice.
Like the second thing he did, like with Marvel, I think he did a Marvel Fanfare story, and then he did this. So this was kind of a return of this like guy that did this like historic Conan run that a lot of people looked to as inspiration, and then just left comics for a while. And thankfully, he came back and did some more stuff.
Do you guys know if he's had different colorists other than Terry Austin? For all those other projects or inkers for
I don't know. I would be curious to reread his Weapon X and see who was working on that with him.
Yeah, that's what
I'm pretty sure Weapon X he inked himself, and if I'm not mistaken, he may have colored that too.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, it seems very much like his book.
Yeah. When he left comics, he went to go be a fine artist. So when he came back to comics, he came back with a very specific goals of what he wanted to do as a creator.
Oh, interesting.
You need to read Weapon X for sure, Justin. That's like a must.
It's it's not a ton of it's a ton of art and not a ton of reading. Okay. It's really an easy, and plus they're like it was part of, I think it was Marvel Premiere, right? So it was like half of another book and then half of
Marvel Comics Presents. I guess it was like 12 issues, but it was like only like 8 pages of each issue. So the trade paperback is probably about a 6-issue story, a little less even.
Yeah.
So, nice. And you can read it at any point and not feel like you needed to read it in some kind of sequential order with these X-Men Omnis. You could just
And anybody reading along with us, I would say it's definitely the follow-up you should try out if you're enjoying this art style or curious to see what he would do with other characters too.
Mm-hmm. Wait, now, is this from this or is that from this era, this time?
It's about 8 years late because I think it's early 90s, like 91 somewhere.
Oh, okay. So some time.
So this is it's about 8 or so years later.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Chet,
but it takes place in the past.
It's obviously a flashback story. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Chet went with 9.2. I love seeing your guys' shares in the chat. Bobby is 9.6. He says Barry Windsor-Smith, right? He did the first 24 issues of Conan. All right. Let's see. The Ben Grimm Marvel Fanfare is a great issue. He inked and colored the Weapon X. There you go. Machine Man. Yes, he did the Machine Man miniseries. Oversized storyteller. And I know that Gore Vidal mentioned his book Monster, which is a big, I know that some people are really big fans of that book, which I've not read, but I heard great things about.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah.
And it's in black and white, but I highly recommend reading that book.
It's a lot of libraries carry it. So if you go to your local library, you may be able to just snag it. I know mine does. I just haven't read it yet.
It's not a happy book.
No, it's heavy.
It is very heavy, and and the art, I mean, and that's a story actually that started out as a Hulk story that he wanted to do in the Hulk. And he wanted to use like a couple of swear words and editorial wouldn't let him use it. And he was like, no, it's important. And so he pulled it. And it's basically the story of like Bruce Banner having an abusive father, and which did get used by Bill Mantlo, and Barry Windsor-Smith to this day swears it was plagiarized, that they took his idea.
Oh, it's hard not to argue with that.
But he took what he was planning to be like a one double-sized issue of Hulk, which would have come out probably around the same time, and turned it into like a massive graphic novel, working on it for like 30 years, So that's and then even this, so there's a Life Death 2 coming up in about 20 issues or so. But
it's issue 98, so it's about 12,
Okay, so about 12 issues. He comes back for that, and then there's also a book called it was going to be a 3, and he did it, and he ended up doing it as like an independent book. It's called Ad Astra in Africa, and it's essentially what he would have done in Life Death 3 for Marvel, but he ended up doing it like a Dark Horse or Fantagraphics, I think. Fantagraphics. So it's not Storm and Forge, but it is Storm and Forge.
There you go.
So that's something to look out for. I've never read it either. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah. And it's definitely worth taking the time to go through and get into some of his Marvel stuff beyond this issue. I am very obviously a big Storm fan. She's in a swimsuit. She's out of a swimsuit. She's rock'em sock'em roboting. This is a 9.6 for me all day. It goes down a little for the eyebrows and the cover, but I'm even willing to overlook that and just bring me more of this. So I'm a big fan of this issue, and reading it as a kid and then getting more out of it as an adult, I really do think there's a ton to appreciate here. And I want to just briefly, I showed this on Justin's channel last week. There is a hardcover out there for Life Death 1 and 2 and issue 205 and some of the other issues that Barry Windsor-Smith did. That's just called Life Death. The hardcover collects all the Barry Windsor-Smith issues of X-Men together. And then there's some other stuff. I think it includes and it includes the issue that he did originally. So it's 205, 214, and originally issue 53. Really cool hardcover. And I'll move the slideshow one forward because I mention it in the facts here. The first issue Barry Windsor-Smith did of Uncanny X-Men is issue 53. So back before Claremont came in, before the reprint issues happened, he did this one issue, and I think there was another artist he was paired with for the issue, probably inking and working together. So there you go. Jackson's dropping that in the facts there. Nice. This is the first cover appearance of Forge, first meeting really of Forge and Storm, and then of course Storm dealing with all the consequences from her powers. There is 2 9/8 of this book on the 9/9 on the census. Last sold in 2005. So I'm fairly certain that price of $127 is not going to hold. It's been, that's what it says, right? 2005. Yeah. 18 years later, I think that price has probably gone up. Fair market value for a 9/8, of which there's almost 400, is $55. This is definitely a book that you want to open though. So that's kind of a drawback there. Any thoughts on the money side here, gang? Anybody have anything they want to
add? It's just interesting that it is, like you just said, like as a drawback, the 9/8 only being $55. It just sounds like a great deal,
right?
But you're right though. It's very much a book you want to open, and the art on the cover is just not enough for me to like feel like I need to showcase.
Well, it's Forge and Storm waiting for a bus.
Right. Yeah.
Just hanging out, man.
They're in there. Well, Forge is in his 80s athletic attire, and
he's gonna go play racquetball in 1983.
Right.
And enjoy it. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, well then I'm gonna close that all out. I'm gonna throw a big thank you to our guy Darrell for joining us tonight. I know JP is frantically saying, "Hey, we should have started our other show 9 minutes ago." Yeah. We've got 4 trivia questions.
He would say 39 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, hey. We've got 4 trivia questions we're gonna ask you. These all have to do with last week's episode, issue 185. And we were over on Justin's channel. We've got these 4 questions. We're looking for 2 correct answers. Ideally, spelling would play into it. We're also looking for 1 comedy answer. Darrell gets to choose comedy answers that he enjoys. So when you're throwing in your comedy, make sure you're thinking about our guy Darrell. Let's see here. So Justin, I'm going to go first if that's all right with you.
Yep. You go for it.
The last issue had a lot of Storm and Rogue sequences. My question is, Storm goes and finds Rogue. Rogue is relaxing. What is Rogue doing to relax? What is Rogue doing to relax? I'll accept a few different answers. I sent 2 possibilities to Justin, but there's a third I suppose you could throw in there. But what is Rogue doing to relax? All right. And I got 2 correct. I got 3 correct answers, 2 from Thony. Swimming. Yeah, she's swimming. That's fair. That's fair. She's also doing some crazy acrobatics and diving in and, making tourists snap photos of her. But Adam is also correct because she's just sunbathing. She's just on the banks of the Mississippi somewhere. She's just like, she's in Mississippi, I think, just living the dream, man. Living the dream. Comedy answers. 62 says she's smoking a doob. She's getting high. She's living high on life. Ryan says she's doing that Suzanne Summers thigh master. That's how she's staying in that fit shape. Girls be shopping, y'all. They be shopping. I mean, this is both true and funny. Candace says she's distracting sailors. It's accurate and yet also entertaining. She's absorbing the memories of a trout. She's gonna swim upstream. I don't know. That's salmon. She's listening to Tay-Tay. Then she's got good taste.
Not even born yet. Come on.
No, it was early.
Early. Maybe like a year old. How old is she?
I don't know. So I got Thony got a point. I got Adam got some point. Darrell, did you have somebody you want to reward here for doing their best?
I was about to go with Candace distracting sailors until Chet jumped in with absorbing the memories of a trout.
Awarding quality comedy. All right, we're gonna jump back over to Justin with his first question.
Wow. Chet even has like a period and everything. Wow.
I mean, spell
I had to look close there. Yeah, I had to really lean in. All right, my first question is simply, what was the name of last issue? What was the official name that they gave last issue?
Oh, I know it. Okay, for a second I was like, and it's like it's on the cover. I want to say, spoiler. Sorry, it's not.
We should get some good one.
It's not Rachel Dennis. I mean, I'll just say it right off the bat.
It's a really good guess.
I thought we were friends, Ryan. I thought we were fans. Clearly, you've been away too long.
We've missed you, Ryan. We've missed you.
Oh, dear God. That I don't know that we're gonna beat that tonight. The color of Justin's shirt on that. Wow. Wait. It's a double-sized issue. I'm doing my best.
X-Men.
Slowpoke. I know, JP.
It's straight out of Compton. It's just straight out of Compton. I think the title is this. Am I correct? Is that good enough? Are we gonna?
So I had wrote.
Okay, if it's not right, it's not right. We'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. Oh my God, these answers are freaking amazing.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it is right.
You should double check.
Maybe it is right because it does say it in the
cover says something
but
different.
The cover,
than
yeah. When you mentioned the cover, I was saying that. I did text that to you as the cover, but I think we can go with what Chet.
Okay, so then we'll scroll back up.
Yeah,
Chet's not going to have to get too mad at us.
Yeah, no, we'll give it to you, Chet.
Public Enemy from Chet, correct, and then we got Candace,
nice,
correct,
nice.
But these comedy answers, Darrell, I don't know how we're going to just pick one.
There's some good ones.
Straight
Two
out of
girls,
Compton.
one power.
It's not Public Enemy. It's Stop in the Name of Love. I might have believed it was an accident, but you reloaded twice. X is for scissors. But I think we're going with Old Wolf here.
Two girls, one power.
Oh, Thony. We missed you, buddy. All right. My second question is: Storm arrives to talk to Rogue on the banks of the Mississippi, on a river in Mississippi, have a conversation with her, and throws out a slightly unusual proposition. What is it that Storm offers to Rogue? What is the offer? This could get really twisted here. I may have set that one up a little too well. This is a little bump set spike here.
Yeah.
This could come back to haunt my John's Comics with Kids YouTube channel. I'm just gonna give it to these guys. Touch me. I mean, fair. It's fair. Accurate. So JP and Thony very quick to say, touch me. So where's Thony? There he's at. So a little too slow. Chet with offers her powers. All right. There's an option. Want a mohawk down there? That's interesting. Give her a matching mohawk. It would just be the skunk stripe, right? Wouldn't that
it'd just be the white. It would actually
match.
Completely
It would
match.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the skunk stripe working out in everybody's favor. Oh my goodness. I don't see any other answers. Darrell, do you have a fave?
All right. I'm gonna go with Candace. Not so much just for the comedy, but just the spot on, it would exactly match.
Like right on point. Yeah.
Accuracy, right? That's what we go for around here.
Nice.
All right, Justin, last question of the night.
All right, this one can get a little crazy. Technically, there are 6 answers that I will accept.
Oh, goodness.
So the statement here is: name one of the phrases that the people from the boat were shouting at Rogue after Rogue dove into the water. I'll accept one of any of the 6 answers that I have written down right here. These 6 answers I did type to John so he can confirm.
And there's punctuation.
There is. There's a lot. There's actually some of them are easy to say, and others are a bit more detail. I'd be impressed though if you can get that. So
lots of options. Or just tell us what you would shout. Rose is dancing, whatever.
When she's diving in the water, what would you shout?
It was not watch out for gators, but I mean that's just good advice. That's just taking care of people.
It's a good way to live. Yeah,
that's just taking care of people. You forgot your floaties. I mean, you don't know that she can swim. You don't know.
That's right.
I mean, that's just mean. I mean, she's just swimming, man. She's just swimming. You don't like the bathing suit. You don't got to shame her.
4 exclamation points, chat.
Unnecessary. Yeah, really, intense. I can get the intensity. All right, so I feel like we've got correct answers. Do you feel like you've got 2 correct answers, Justin?
Yeah, I just see some of these other comments. All right, so I think I'm gonna go with Old Wolf.
I'm glad because he really typed a ton, and he got the phone number right.
Yes, that's impressive.
I'm kind of feeling like, wow. Other people were just giving us one word, and then there's Thony giving us the whole package.
Yep. So Old Wolf was one, and then Adam Makes Stuff Up is correct as well. He went with the easy route with whistles, which we did really talk about.
It's got an S.
Oh, good point. Oh yeah, no, you're right. It's that's a good point.
Is it this one whistle or are you going to whistle with Chet? It's kind of Candace.
It's actually Chet. It's actually
Chet?
So it's actually Chet. It was the exact answer that I was looking for.
Okay.
One time exclamation point.
The one time Chet gets it right. And the rest of the group is kind of
Sorry, Adam. Sorry, Candace. Yeah, Chet was on with that one.
And we got Take It Off. We got Wrong Hole. Jack, I'll never let go. I get it. Oops, sorry. The whole package was the seventh statement yelled. Oh my goodness, that was a lot, Tony. You just stop drinking. It's late. It's late, brother. I don't remember the phone number, right? I mean, I don't remember it.
That's
Tony's
what I paused to
highlight.
I highlighted that phone number. Yeah.
All right, Darrell, was there a comedy answer you liked?
I'm gonna go with the Titanic reference from Magic.
Yay!
All right, nice.
He's playing the long con there. That old that Magic Lasso. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm appreciating everybody coming by, and remember, subscribe over to Justin. We're going to be back there next week looking at the next issue. And you've now watched, you've now listened, you're ready to answer the questions for next week's show. So being there obviously is to your advantage. Darrell, as always, huge fan and very grateful for you joining us for a while and making some fun with us.
Thanks for being here. Yeah,
I'm happy to make this episode so magical and wonderful that you could just shut the show down now.
I know. And we're going to have to because we're about 15 minutes late to get over to our next show.
50 minutes
ish. Yeah. For those that don't know, we're on JP Budget Collecting right now. We're going to be talking Black Hammer. So we're going to jump out of here. But remember, we're back over on No Good next time. So be sure to be there or be square.
Yes.
Bye, gang.
Edit.